And welcome everybody to the very first inaugural episode of our new side project that we are doing, and that is Flicker with Jack and Scott. My name is Jack Hanley, and I am a film critic, film podcaster, film programmer, here as always with my cinematic partner in crime and my great best friend, Scott Agner, also a film critic, also a film programmer. Scott, welcome to our first episode of doing this thing live.
Yeah, I'm excited to give this a shot and see how things go. I think this is going to be a fun opportunity to talk a little bit more about the things we love to talk about so much, and to share some of our thoughts with anybody who cares to watch.
Exactly right. And this is our first venture off of our archaic ways, from the pen and paper, Scott, to our slow transition to podcasts from blogs, and more journalistic aspects to going to YouTube. So we've launched a YouTube channel and decided that we would start doing some short form videos, of which this is the first. So if you're one of the small batch of viewers watching this, welcome aboard to our original one. And please, we apologize in advance for how new this is to us, perhaps, right, Scott?
Yeah, we're not a part of the younger crowd here, so
what?
Let's see how this works for us.
So just to very quickly, just kind of introduce to our new viewers, who, or maybe those who have followed us from our various other formats, what this type of format is this will be just a very short weekly YouTube channel where we just kind of do what we like to do anyway, and that is really help foster our long distance relationship. We've been such great friends for such a long time, but we live far away from each other. And two things we love more than anything in the world is to talk about and deconstruct cinema, but also to talk and do that with each other. Yeah. And so this gives us a wonderful excuse to just touch base with each other even more often and do that when we can't be apart, or together rather, because we're apart for so many miles. So yes, I'm really looking forward to this. And Scott, if you want to kind of go into very quickly what our viewers can be expecting each week from us.
Yeah, I think our initial goal in trying to do this was to have that opportunity to talk more about the things we love to talk about, and our thoughts were to try to keep these pretty short, keep them short form. We've got our other ventures where you can dive a little bit deeper with us if you choose to do so, but we wanted to keep these ones short, and we really wanted to use this as an opportunity to not only discuss things that are kind of relevant, not necessarily like film news items, but things that are currently sort of happening or things that are worthy of conversation, but also as a way for us to continue to sort of talk about and foster the things that we care about. So films that we love, films that we want people to keep an eye out for, things that we've seen that we want to share with our watchers. So just another way to sort of keep the curation side of what we love to do, keep that rolling, keep that moving forward, and help support all the things that we care so passionately about.
Perfectly said. And like so many things in life, Scott, we want to keep this short because I think we also are best enjoyed in small doses. Perhaps that's the demand of the people, Scott.
Probably.
So we're going to kick off our very first one with a kind of a side project that we've been doing for some time. And we both share a love from a young age of watching and alternately hate watching the Academy Awards, and also just kind of prognosticating about who we think will win. But from some of our various other formats that we've done, whether it's been on podcasts or on blogs or write-ups that we've done for some cinematic online journals, we always like to add that, everybody does a predictive who will win, right? And everyone then says perhaps who should win in a category. We like to also include a third category, which is the actual best performance or, achievement that year from films outside the box, as you said, curated films that maybe a lot of people haven't experienced yet that we feel it is important that we get the word out about. And that's what you can always come to expect on this channel, right?
Yeah, or just things that need to be talked about more, right? So it's not necessarily obscure. It could just be that this is something that nobody is really kind of giving the press or the praise that we think it deserves.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for, viewers. So if you're looking for that, this is your place. This is your home. These are your people. So with that, Let us also kick off by saying too that we have a little contest with this every year, and let me advise our viewers this: that Scott typically kicks my ass in this every year. As a no, okay. Here's the other thing: people need to know about us, and those who watching are laughing right now because they know that we have often been described as potentially maybe fathered illegitimately by Gene Siskel and Robert Ebert, and then separated at birth as twins, as cinematic twins, separated at birth, left on different doorsteps to be raised in a different world experience and by different families, but true cinematic, identical twins at heart, meaning that so often our choices are hilariously identical.
Yep.
And so in order to help that, we purposely did not talk about our choices ahead of time.
Yeah.
Knowing that there will be overlap, of course.
Yep.
I just know us.
Guaranteed.
But also knowing that overlap out there, dear viewers, I know that we're going to be alike so often that my only hopes to try to beat Scott each year in this, this terrible game that I keep playing with him. I have to try to swing for the fences, right? My viewpoint is Scott's going to nail this so well that I need to take risks and really sometimes go out of the box if I have a chance. So you viewers out there, any of you who know anything about gambling know that this is a terrible methodology and to only trust Scott's choices here for the most part.
No.
That being said, let's.
You say that, but I will say this year I think is a little bit more difficult in some categories to maybe predict quite as effectively. I did crush it last year, admittedly.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll quite be the beating this year. We'll see.
Yeah. Don't listen, viewers. I'm throttled each year, so again, listen accordingly to who are there. I vote with my heart often instead of my head, and it does me in every year. So, all right, let's start off with perhaps, and we're starting off with Best Supporting Actor category.
Yeah.
So this is a category that, like many years, predictably, may be the most predictable of the categories. We may want to say right off the bat, right? I think at least everybody considers this a pretty safe category, or what do you think?
I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what you got to say. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure I agree with that assessment.
I would love for an upset to happen here, particularly, and we'll discuss that in a second. But let's kick off with, Scott, your selection for who will win Best Supporting Actor this year at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with the will win, and I am going to, I will say, not 100% confidently, but I think I am going to put my cards into the Ryan Gosling cup for this one.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. Now, see, I thought this was pretty okay. Well, first, before I interrupt, but again, I'm loving that we actually have some variance here. So, make your pitch. Why is Ryan going to take this home?
I just think that we'll talk about the shoulds and things in a minute. I do not necessarily agree with the choice, but I will say that I think that is just how I see things going. Not so much based on, it's always this idea that, like, you look at the previous wins, you look at the previous record, you look at how things have been falling. And I just think this is one of those situations where we may see something a little different than what we might expect. I also think that there is this faint whisper semblance in the air of trying to do a little bit of some damage control in some other areas. I think there are some people that are saying let's try to make sure we, play our cards right. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but
I love the politics of it, the consideration of the politics of it all, because of course that's what it's about.
Because we know that's what it really is, right?
All right. So already let me start down the losing path, because my prediction is going to be that this year, and I'm not thrilled about it, but I think for me it's pretty much a lock that this will be Robert Downey Jr.'s Academy Award to take.
Yep.
And again, like the Academy itself, that is a safe and conservative, albeit somewhat insipid choice for what I consider to be a relatively safe, conservative, and film overall. Right? I was not tremendously impressed with Oppenheimer, but I think there is a wave of Oppenheimer that will happen at Academy Awards, and I think that again, I think some of this will be just rewarding the body of work that Downey has done over the course of his time. So I think there'll be a little bit of that. I think that some of the other categories that many people are banking on Oppenheimer just sweeping may be a bit closer than they realize. So I think this is just a safe way to demonstrate that they can do that for the film and ensure this. I mean, although I do find it hilarious, though, Scott, in this choice that's it in the tradition of this category a lot, where they love to award not only just dramas, but particularly like villains or at least antagonists. That in Oppenheimer, where you have someone who's the literal creator of the atomic bomb, where you could have easily had, perhaps humanity as the antagonist of this one. We had to create like a sub antagonist with Robert Downey Jr. playing this foil off of Cillian Murphy's Oppenheimer. So I think it's just the type of performance the Academy really loves. And where I was actually closer to you with Ryan Gosling initially, I think that some of the very recent blowback of his nomination and what many people consider the expense of both Greta Gerwig for directing and Margot Robbie in the other acting category here, I almost think that in a weird way, him winning this and being the sole person with an Academy Award from this film only reinforces the Barbie message of it all.
Oh yeah.
And so 100%. I think that they might scare them off and be like I think Gosling himself is going to be in the crowd going, anyone but me.
Yep, 100%. And I will say that is partially the reason I think that it could happen, because I don't think necessarily that they are. I don't want to. Well, I'll just say it. I don't think necessarily that they're smart enough to be aware of that. I think they're just gonna. I think there's a chance they just go for it and they're like, oops, like maybe we shouldn't have done that, but it's like too late now. I will say that I think Robert Downey Jr. is the more obvious and probably the safer bet. I think I'm taking a little bit of a swing here with Ryan Gosling.
I love that we're going to have an immediate winner by next week, right out of the gate. The audiences will know who to trust immediately. Yes.
What did I do to myself
All right, let's jump to the next one here. Who should win in this category, in your opinion?
In my should category, I put Mark Ruffalo. But that's just because I absolutely love Mark Ruffalo, and I think that performance was more interesting than the other options given to us this year. And I think it's a better film than many of the other films given to us as options this year. So I am firmly in Mark Ruffalo camp for the should win.
Fantastic. And I think where you may have predicted my answer being number one, you also know that, like you, I think that Poor Things is most probably the best actual film of all the ones that the Academy has chosen to take a look at, or at least within the top three. Yep. I'm with you there. I agree with you that Ruffalo was so damn entertaining. Yep. And outside of his Ruffalo-esque comfort zone, can we say? So I loved his performance in this. But I'm actually going to take a hard swing to someone that you normally don't hear me praise. Even my partner and your dear friend and our producer, Shay Westcott's eyebrow went aflutter upon hearing that I think in this particular category, this award should go to Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. I am not, and very famously so, which is why I don't get invited to many dinner parties, a tremendous Robert De Niro fan. I definitely would argue that he has left his best work behind for the most part. I mean, right? Like, no one's out here really typically crowing about Robert De Niro in winter. In the winter stage of his career, there's been some egregious choices here. Yeah. I actually found this such a lovely, such a nuanced, and under the radar performance by him. I think he created with this character an iconic American villain in the truest sense of not just a character with motivations. For me, he is the ultimate stand-in for America and America under manifest destiny. So I think it elevates him a bit larger than life. But what I love is that this was not what could have easily been a traditional mustache twirling performance of I am just so radically evil. What I loved was the subtlety here to be the type of villain who says, I want to eradicate your entire people and take everything you have, but I've also learned enough of your language to hold your hands, to pray with you and pretend I'm on your side, which to me, is there anything more American than that? Right. So for me, I just thought it was such a nuanced performance for him that I think he should take this home this year.
Interesting.
That's the response that I've been getting from anyone that I've brought this up to.
Yep.
And it's normally one you never hear me pitch ever. So I'm going a little swinging wide on that one as well. So as we wrap up, let's talk about the actual best performance this year from a supporting actor, in your opinion.
Okay, so actual best. I have a couple ideas here. I'll throw out I think I'll throw out my top choice first, and then we could also sort of dive into some other potential ideas that we had also. But remember that I think our goal here with actual best is to also use this as our platform to talk about things that we genuinely loved and want to share with other people. So my actual best, I'm going to go with my first choice. I think this would be my top choice, being Milo Machado Graner. So I think, that performance was incredible. Anatomy of a Fall. And I was absolutely enraptured with this young performance. I think that takes the cake for me, for sure.
Magnificent. All right. Well, to kind of follow through, I was also vacillating on who I could bring into this. There were a couple of great performances I loved. One for me in particular was Holtz McElhenney from The Iron Claw, who plays the troubled patriarch of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And again, much loved, deservedly so, is going Zach's way. But I thought his portrayal as their father, who puts this traumatic energy of the entire family and its destiny, was just absolutely sublime. It was an amazing performance. Scott, I even thought for a moment, if we can argue that Godzilla -1 returns or takes a sharp deviation and puts human beings at the forefront of its narrative, then does that make Godzilla himself a supporting actor this year? And his amazing return to metaphor as monster, I thought was well-deserved, but no. For me, the actual best performance this year, and by a mile for me, was the amazing Charles Melton from May, December, who I thought, this was a film that so easily could have been interpreted a number of ways. It was nuanced. It was heartbreaking. There was a dramatic turn in the middle of this film where you suddenly realized, I came for the powerhouse acting of Moore and Portman, but suddenly I realized the film has been taken over, and justly so, by Melton. It is beautiful. It is soft. It is nuanced. And I'm really sad that he was not even recognized with a nomination. I mean, historically, this category tends to reward older, dramatic character actors, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw the average age of the last 10 years is maybe 52 years old. So young actors tend to be ignored, and I think it was done so here, and that makes me very sad. But I'm going with actual best, Charles Melton, May, December.
Okay, so tying in with that, I think it's important that I bring up my alternative choice. I am surprised that you did not throw Milo out there. I thought you were really enraptured by that film as a whole. So that's kind of interesting.
And again, I wanted to try to avoid.
Yeah. But tying to your choice, I think another one that I have on my list that I was kind of oscillating between, your choice and my next suggestion here is John Magaro. Which was kind of my backup choice. And again, we look at, I think we're going to hear a lot of talk about that film in particular also. But John Magaro was another one of those, to me, a really kind of subtle and reserved and really important, not just sort of player in the film, but in the way that character was portrayed, this kind of real subtlety and real kind of serious reserve that takes a lot of kind of, I don't know, I think a lot of effort to put something that good forward in a case like that. So John Magaro was my number 2, Past Lives.
That's a marvelous choice, and a marvelous in what may be perhaps my favorite film of last year.
I know we're on the same page with that one.
All on board there for that, and we'll talk more about that in our subsequent ones. So, all right, well, Scott, there you have it. We promised to keep it short and still managed to go over a bit, just because we're so passionate about this topic and talking with each other. And so we had to introduce ourselves a bit. So the next ones, of course, will be coming out shortly. We'll have more of these. This is going to be going up this week. And Scott, tell our listeners, our viewers now, where they can search us out should they want to, against all good judgment, follow us on some other platforms.
All right, so you can find us here on YouTube with our new video episode here, Flickr. You can find us also on Facebook. You can find us on a variety of other social media platforms. If you are really seeking more of us out and wanting to dive even a little bit deeper, you can always check us out for our podcast as well, Blind Spotting. And so we do this long format podcast that we've been doing for a while now, where we sort of dive deep into films that are a part of our blind spot in terms of our filmic history and filmic knowledge. So that's another way to find us out. And you can you can find us pretty much everywhere that you would normally find us. So here we are presenting Flicker. With our first episode, and keep an eye out. Coming up, we're going to do some more Oscar stuff. So as we lead up into the Oscars, more of our episodes will be tackling a few more of these Oscar categories, giving some more thoughts and some more praise to the wills, the shoulds, and the actual bests of this Oscar season. Anything else you want to add?
Absolutely. No, just that we thank all of you for joining us on this next phase of our journey. We hope you are with us for the long haul. Please like and subscribe so you can always be alerted whenever we have a new pontification coming out, and there will be many and some each week. And we hope you're part of our cinematic family going forward. We love and appreciate all of you just as much as we love and appreciate cinema. Thank you for joining us. Scott, my friend, I'll see you next episode.
See you next time.